On today's episode, I'm letting you take a look into our books. Not all of our books, but at the very least, the softwares and tools that we use, what they cost us per month. I am such a nosy bitch, and I always love seeing what people are spending money on. So I'm hoping that this gives you some clarity, maybe some ideas, maybe some brainstorms, or maybe just the reminder to go through and audit your systems. Because even in me preparing for this episode, I found some instances in which I'm like, yeah, we're not even really using this tool. We should probably forego this expense. But easier said than done, right? It is that time of year. It is spring cleaning. You're working on your taxes. You're working on getting your business in order and cleaning out those cobwebs, optimizing in the best way that you know how. And so this episode is to kind of feed into some of that, getting your organization and your systems, getting everything pulled together, making sure that we are making good choices and we are keeping our mind on our numbers, because the numbers are important, as we learn all the time on this podcast. So without further ado, I'd love to share with you what my team is spending our money on and what tools that we use and which ones we love. Greetings and welcome back to the Kiss My Aesthetic podcast. First and foremost, I broke down kind of each of these tools by category of how we're using them, because I think that's really important to pay attention to. Also know that this is just our business. Similar to watching somebody's what they eat in a day or what they spend in a day. I think it's always good information to have price transparency and to have even just expense transparency to realize this is why we can't work for free. And this is also why we have to charge the rates that we do, is in order to be able to create great branding for someone. All of these tools have to be in place in order to support us. So in this episode, you're not going to necessarily see payroll expenses, which is always the biggest one, or some of the other expenses phone and internet. But I'm really focusing on what are the tools and the softwares that help us do our job and what is it costing us as an agency. So to start, the first category I have is kind of business day to day. This is the stuff that these are always the tabs that are open on my laptop. These are the first things I'm checking in the morning. And that is my Google Suite and Basecamp. So our GSuite would cover Google Drive, Google Calendar, which is everything to us, our email, which is hosted through Google, and the GSuite altogether is costing us $200 a month because we have multiple email addresses that come through with the @mkwcreative.co domain to the end. And that can get set up through your Squarespace, by the way. So Squarespace is affiliated with Gmail. It allows us to do such that direction. But in our GSuite, we are spending, like I said, $200 a month. Pricey, but I can't imagine not doing business without it, right? It's something that we definitely need. And it's something that we have to pay for in order to be functional as an agency. So that's the first one. The next one is Google Storage. So as you can probably imagine, we have a lot of files in our Google Drive because we are storing all the client files for us from the second that they work with us until our promise is infinity. Obviously, that's a lofty claim. We do tell the clients it's their responsibility to download and keep their branding, but we are always hosting those backup files, and those are big. Those are Illustrator files. Those are Photoshop files. Those are really complicated packaging files and different iterations. So one of the things we could do to alleviate ourselves from that $2 a month in the data overage for the storage on Google Drive is probably go through and clean that out, delete stuff that we're not using anymore, documents we're not using, big image files we're not using anymore. That would be one way to okay, yeah, sure, save $2. But to me, paying for Google storage is something that I'm very happy to do, to not have to be stressed about it. To me, is worth the $2 a month. The next big day-to-day tool that we cannot live without, you guys have heard me talk about this one, is Basecamp. Basecamp is our project management tool, and I have been using Basecamp since practically day zero of this business. It is the ultimate everything all in one place kind of platform. And this is how we run all of our projects. It's how we run all of our retainers. It's how I talk to my team. It's how we keep track of tasks. It is everything to us. So in our Basecamp, whenever we kick off a new project, that project gets its own project folder. In that project folder, you can actually customize a lot of the features to fit what you need. And because I've been doing this so long, we actually have templates for the type of project that we run through Basecamp. So if it's a branding project, it has a certain type of template. If it's a social media retainer, it has a certain type of template. If it's creative direction retainer, it has a certain type of template. And you can customize each of those tools within your Basecamp in a way that fits what you need, which is really, really handy for us. So the tools that we almost always have on default in Basecamp are discussions. Then we have group chat. Then we have to-dos. We've really been integrating card table, which is a fabulous function. And then we'll usually have docs and files, and then maybe also some links to external storage. So we can link in the Google Drive and it'll take them directly to their Google Drive, for example. But the best part for us about Basecamp is that it allows every single detail of the project to live in one place. So I always explain to clients, even on their first onboarding call, we're going to be running your project through Basecamp. Have you ever used Basecamp before? And if they say, no, never used it, I will give them a pseudo orientation in the first 15 minutes of that brand discovery call. Or not the discovery call, but into the onboarding call. And what I'll explain is how we use each of the tools. So something to think about here is the discussions tab for us functions like email. If you have an idea or a complex thought or a list of thoughts that you want to just shoot over to us, of course you can email us. But the benefit of sending it through Basecamp is every single person on your project can have full visibility into it at once. Meaning Cody can see it if it's a billing question, Madison can see it if it's a design edit question, Jimmy or Gabby, everyone can see the discussion if it's in Basecamp versus having the emails for each of those individual contractors. Too crazy. So discussions is great because it allows you to start off a new discussion with a subject title, just like an email. You can write out your whole message and then we can have comments underneath that discussion. That's really wonderful for things like our weekly agenda. So if we have a retainer client, we say, hey, here's what's on the agenda. Let's run through the whole thing. And then those agenda tasks will get reflected in the to-do lists and in the card table. So the next little tool within Basecamp is what we call group chat. It's named in Basecamp as Campfire, and I just think that's a silly name. So we always manually rename it to group chat. And I explain that that's kind of like text. So discussions is like email. Group chat is like text. And in group chat, this is where we'll be like, hey, I'm trying to log into your Canva. Can you give me the code? Or, oh, by the way, this is approved. Or, hey, I saw this thing. It's not super relevant right now, but I just want to throw it at you guys as inspo. That's a really great channel to not have long, complex messages, but quick, get it done, quick little bursts, almost like a Slack, right? So we've got discussions that function like email. We've got group chat that functions like text. Then we have to-dos. This is where we're building out lists. So for projects that have very set deliverables, we have different lists for each phase of the project. So if we're thinking about a branding project, phase 1 is always going to be your onboarding and your brand questionnaire. Those are each listed out as tasks. And then those tasks, we can comment underneath them until they are complete. And once they're marked as complete, and once that to-do list is complete, it gets this nice approved, complete, stamp on it, which is really satisfying. And then we'll move into the next to-do list. The next to-do list from a branding perspective would be running through all of your visuals. So there's definitely podcast episodes that are our process and how it works. That would be a good refresher if this is new information to you, maybe your first time tuning in. But really what we're going to start with is mood board, Pinterest board, stock imagery, maybe AI imagery or sourcing, existing branding and inspiration. Anything visuals related is happening in list 2. Then list 3, the branding presentation review. List 4 would be all your deliverable handoff and asset execution, essentially. And the great part about that is it keeps it really clean. And what I explain to clients is each to-do list represents 1 week of your project. So here's what we're working on week 1, week 2, week 3, week 4. And that just keeps it crisp. And I like that. So that's the to-do list. Then we have a card table. So if you can imagine a card table, right, where you have different columns, like you're playing solitaire. You have different columns going across horizontally, and then you have different items listed vertically under those columns. This is also called a Kanban table. It's really similar to Trello. Asana has this kind of functionality as well. But this is where we would leave things that are a work in progress. So maybe we finished branding and somebody's like, okay, I need my packaging design. I need the object designed. I need the box designed. I need an insert card, a PR box, social post templates, etc. So we will like list out that wish list, like what are all the things that you want to have? And then we will move them through the columns as they get completed. So the columns you can also rename, which makes it a really, really great like bird's eye view of the process of the project, is to go from concept to first draft to client, sent to client for approval to edits to finished. And that's all still, we're still even just talking about Basecamp. So Basecamp is huge for us because it also organizes like our podcast, our internal team, all of the folders with each of my individual contractors. Basecamp is our GOAT. I will like pay for Basecamp all day long. I think it is a fabulous project management tool. And on the client side, it really helps them know that like if it's not in Basecamp, it doesn't exist. Like everything about your project needs to exist here because I can like download all the activity of that project and get like time-stamped receipts of when things were sent through. And that is so helpful to keep that out of email. I also tell clients that the mobile app for Basecamp is actually quite fabulous. So if there's someone who's on the go or they don't have a lot of time to sit down in front of a computer, learn a new tool, the iPhone app is really intuitive. So would recommend. Again, for Basecamp, we're paying $100 a month. We are on a yearly plan. So I don't know that that's what their current pricing is. But as of the day of recording, we are spending $100 a month on Basecamp. It is money well spent. Happy to do it. So that kind of covers our business day-to-day expenses. So GSuite, $200 a month, Google Storage, $2 a month, and then our Basecamp for $100 a month for a total of $302 a month spent on just keeping the lights on, basically, keeping the business going. Next would be like our onboarding and client management tool. I know there's so many good ones out there, but we use Dubsado. And a lot of this is thanks to Cody, our online business manager, who built our entire Dubsado to start and then now also is paid to maintain it to create contracts, proposals, and invoices, and also to manage all of our payment plans, to host all of our forms, all of our intake forms, our contact forms. That all comes through Dubsado. We are paying $30 a month currently. That is because we are on a yearly plan. I think the plan levels also change based on how many users there are. So there are some factors to consider there, but that's what we're paying for it. For me, again, money well spent, happy to spend it. I think Dubsado is a fabulous tool. There are still some things that I wish that they could do, but I think overall, it's a really fabulous platform and it's a great way to keep track of, okay, what invoices, what have you been paid so far this year? What's in the pipeline? What's been closed? Where it hosts all of your contracts and it hosts your proposals. And it's a really seamless experience from the client side. So when a client comes into us, they're filling out the contact form on our website, which is a Dubsado embedded form. Once that form is submitted, they then get invited to our 15-minute discovery call, which is a Dubsado hosted call scheduler link. Then once they've done that, they are creating a client record within the CRM, within Dubsado, so that we have all the details pertaining to that project. So Cody can go in after the information from the discovery call, generate out proposal, contract, invoice. And from the client side, they get one link. And so when they get that link, they're like, thanks so much for chatting with us. Like, here is your proposal. And they can click on it. They can see the proposal, see what we talked about, select and do multiple selections on that page. It immediately takes them into the contract to get signed, which then immediately takes them to the invoice to submit payment. And having that all in one go is so much better of an experience than trying to send each of those things individually. It just makes it super clean, knock it all out, get it done in 5 minutes. And that has been huge for our business for actually converting those potential customers into paying customers. So Dubsado would spend again and again and again and again. Now, when it comes to the actual design work, this is where you can really get lost in the sauce, I think, with your expenses, because there's a lot of tools out there and there's a lot of tools that are fun. And then there's a lot of tools that like maybe we're just not really using, or that things change, or that you forget you had a subscription for, or that you forgot that you paid annually, which has happened to me so many times. All that to say, the ones that we can't live without, Adobe Creative Suite, $52 a month. That's the plan that we are on currently. I believe that gives us access to all the Adobe tools. Now, realistically, I'm only using Illustrator. Could I lessen my plan and just pay for Illustrator? Probably. Am I going to? No, because sometimes I do need to open After Effects, and sometimes I do need to open Premiere Pro, and sometimes I do need to open Photoshop. So for me, like the insurance of knowing that I can access all the tools and I don't need to like go fiddle around with my plan every time that something comes up is huge for me, but I know that that $52 a month can also, especially for designers that are new baby designers, is one of those necessary evils. I really think that Adobe Creative Suite isn't going anywhere, unfortunately, as much as I'd like to move from that. I have not tried Affinity Designer. I've not played around too much with the vector making in Canva because I still think the industry standard is going to be your Adobe Creative Suite. So necessary evil. The one that we really can't live without is our favorite, Canva. And for $10 a month on our yearly plan, Canva to me is worth its weight in gold. I would say our team works about probably 30% in the Adobe Creative Suite and 70% within Canva. Because once we have those vector assets, it is so much faster and more efficient and more user-friendly and easier for our clients to create things for them in Canva, whether that's menu designs or letterheads or business cards or social graphics. To be able to access their font styles, colors, logos easily within Canva and all of Canva's additional resources. Canva Pro is that bitch. And we love Canva Pro. So those two, Adobe Creative Suite, Canva Pro, are going to be definitely the top. They're in our pantheon of top softwares. The next one after that is Artboard Studio, which we pay $29 a month for. I really love Artboard Studio because I hate Photoshop. And that is my personal cross to bear. I can't even begin to explain to you how much I dislike Photoshop as a tool. And for mockups, which we do a lot of with branding, I can't stand having a gajillion PSD files and trying to figure out how to get the effect that I'm looking for. Artboard Studio, on the other hand, has a really fabulous web-based mockup generator, and they have thousands and thousands of items that you can very easily add colors, styles, fonts, logos, patterns onto those items. So for me, Artboard Studio, great for branding. From an ongoing perspective, do we use it all that much? No, but branding is our bread and butter. So branding, being able to mock something up quickly that shows, here's what your PR box could look like. Here's what your apparel, your hats, your t-shirts, your bags, your business cards, etc. I went into Artboard Studio to go grab just a tennis ball because I needed it for something I was making. And they have a really great high-res PNG tennis ball with a nice shadow on it. I'm like, yeah, I need that. So the assets within Artboard Studio are really fabulous. It's kind of works as our pseudo asset library as well. So would recommend. Absolutely. Then the one after that, when it gets into AI tools, we are also still using Midjourney. And Midjourney for $48 a month is probably the one that I could more easily part with. Although I do enjoy using it, I find myself kind of reaching for it less and less. But what I know that Midjourney does really well is create that really cinematic, photorealistic imagery that stock imagery doesn't really answer sometimes, especially when we have all the information about the brand from the brand questionnaire. And we can summarize that down using our different AI tools or using our brains to then prompt Midjourney to make something totally unique and bespoke. So Midjourney, there are other AI image generation platforms that are kind of stepping on Midjourney's neck, like Google Gemini, Nano Banana with Google Gemini is pretty impressive. So I think it's one of those ones that's, I would say, is on the chopping block, right? So when it comes to our design tools, we're spending, that's the total of Adobe Creative Suite plus Artboard Studio plus Canva plus Midjourney is coming out to be $139 a month for just design tools. Hey, KMA, as you're building your business, you're also building your community, but you might be feeling like all the tools that you need to do so are starting to weigh you down. You've got your website and socials, maybe also an app for video hosting, a calendar tool for your events, a payment processor, a community hub, a chat app, and maybe even an email newsletter, and yet you still don't feel like you can talk to all of your people at once. Social media algorithms are hiding your carefully crafted posts, and the rise of AI slop is turning people off from communities at a time that we need them the most. It's getting harder and harder to know if you're connecting with a real human being online. And none of these apps that were meant to make your business run smoother actually talk to each other all that well. As a result, your community feels fragmented and you're losing your marbles constantly switching between tabs. This is quite literally a death by 1,000 paper cuts. Heartbeat, however, presents a solution. Heartbeat is an all-in-one community hosting platform that brings together your chats, courses, live events, and payments under one single roof. Heartbeat lets you own your data and your revenue without the technical headache, enabling you to host the community that you've always dreamed of. Stop managing software and start hosting your people. Ready to build your own community hub? Head to heartbeat.chat/KMA to start a free trial. No credit card required. But if you're ready to go ahead and upgrade, you can use KMA 30 to get you 30% off when you're ready to level up. And because you're a listener of the podcast, I'd like to take the time to personally invite you to join our community on Heartbeat. Head to heartbeat.chat/kissmyaesthetic, also linked in today's show notes, and we will see you there. Then the big daddy category, what I am calling like marketing, which sounds like very large, right? And this is just for our marketing, but also for like tools that we use on behalf of brands and clients. And also like just kind of continuing education for myself and our team. So first we pay for Audible, which is an audiobook platform. It is $15 a month. This is where I'm downloading like business books to listen to on a dog walk or at the gym, maybe even driving. And this is to me a very necessary expense in like continuing education. Then I have ChatGPT. And ChatGPT, we were paying $20 a month as of this recording. I canceled ChatGPT yesterday because of their involvement with this current administration. I couldn't, in good faith, continue using a tool that is enabling war. So I have since canceled ChatGPT. I am now looking into Claude. So I don't have those numbers yet because I haven't committed to which plan I want from Claude. But ChatGPT was $20 a month, is now going to not be there because we're not going to use it anymore, which is kind of maybe dramatic considering how much I loved the ChatGPT. And if you're a longtime listener to this episode, maybe you're a little shocked by this. But I'm hoping to have Lauren Devane back on the podcast. She is your AI auntie on social media, and she knows way more about this than I do. So I'd love to actually talk to her about OpenAI versus Anthropic versus is there an ethical moral dilemma here about using AI in business now? And where does that lie if we want to participate in this evolving technology without letting it just be run by a bunch of like power hungry billionaires? I digress. The next tool that we have in our like marketing category is one that's I'm annoyed that I'm even paying for because I don't think I've even used it in so long, is Cricut, my Cricut machine. So I got like a Cricut Joy like years ago. It was around my 30th birthday when I did those like over the top birthday boxes. And the Cricut was great. And I was really into it for a minute to like cut out vinyl designs to put on, to send clients gifts, right? Like here's a mug with your logo on it or whatever. And what sucks about Cricut as a brand is that not only did you pay for the machine, but you have to also pay for the software on subscription. But the last time I went to go use my Cricut, it said that my software was out of date and I needed like a system update on the machine. And so the whole thing, like I couldn't even get it to work after all that. So the $10 a month that I'm spending on Cricut, I'm actually like very salty about. And I think I just need to cancel. But then just like, does that now negate the value of owning the machine? Because can I not use the machine if I don't have the software? Which is just an annoying business model in general. So Cricut $10 a month, something I'm like pissed that I'm even still paying for. The next kind of, it's not truly a marketing expense, but I kind of ended up throwing it in this like marketing and miscellaneous category, is Gusto. And Gusto is our HR platform. And that's $128 a month, which is steep because that's one of those like hidden expenses that you forget that you're paying for, but is very necessary. So that's what keeps all of our like employee handbooks, our contracts, all of our payroll processing goes through Gusto as well. So it is a very necessary tool, but it is annoying that it costs what it does. After that, we have Later, which is our social media scheduling platform. We pay $12.50 a month. To be fair, I am not utilizing that to the best of its ability. I don't know that I'm getting my $12.50 worth, but when I do use it, it's absolutely worth the money to be able to like lay out all of your social posts relating to a campaign, caption them ahead of time, get them like a preview of your feed. Later is a pretty solid tool for those things. The next one, which is so worth it to me that I would pay for over and over again is Loom. And Loom is $8 a month, and that is $8 well spent. We love Loom because I love recording the brand design presentation videos on Loom. I love that I can like chop out any filler words. I love that it gives me a transcript. I love that I can set the first starting frame. I can send a link. People can comment throughout the video. And I know that Canva had like a present and record function, and it was like pretty solid for a while, but I was noticing it was like glitching quite a bit. So having things on Loom is great. The other thing I'll use Loom for is sometimes I'll use it to like record a client call on my phone. So I'll like set my phone off to the side, pull up the Loom app on my phone, record, and then like record that whole call on my phone, but not have to rely on my actual camera roll. So that way anyone on my team can go grab that video. So sometimes you'll see that on our social media if it's like behind the scenes of a discovery call or like a recap or something like that, where you're seeing my face in my computer. And then you're kind of like either hearing the client, but you're not really seeing them because they're on the screen. Loom is a great tool for that. Also for explaining things like tutorials or showing clients like, hey, here's where all your assets are. Having a video presentation like tool that works like that is great. So really, really recommend Loom. Another annoying expense that's falling under marketing and miscellaneous is QuickBooks. I hate QuickBooks. I think the interface is horrendous. I find it so confusing. I also just don't like doing accounting in general, but it's one of those necessary evils. It's why we pay a bookkeeper and a CPA because they need that information in order to do their jobs. And QuickBooks for us is $75 a month. Annoying. A fun expense, Spotify. So Spotify, we run through the business for $12 a month because we also build custom playlists for all of our brand design clients. And Spotify also is where we host our podcast, although that doesn't cost money through Spotify per se. But we pay $12 a month for Spotify Premium and would not change that for the world. I love my Spotify. I use it every day. The one after that, Squarespace. We're currently paying $60 a month for Squarespace because we have some e-com functionality and some other functionality within our Squarespace account. It is where our portfolio is hosted. It is, again, I could probably find ways to like bring that total down, but Squarespace for $60 a month, necessary evil. The one after that is Zapier, and this is $20 a month. Zapier is an automations tool. So that's what then dictates, let's say a client signs a contract and they've paid an invoice. Cody has set up a Zap to go in Zapier to automatically set up their Basecamp folder, for example. And we have other little triggers and automations that's Cody's domain, and we can talk to her about that on her podcast episode. But that $20 a month, again, it's kind of one of those hidden expenses that you forget about, but is one of the tools that makes doing our job faster, better, easier, right? The last, before I go there, marketing kind of totals. And the one that I just left off is our team is now on Heartbeat chat, or Heartbeat, I should say. We are on Heartbeat now. So the Kiss My Aesthetic Facebook group is evolving and moving, as you might have heard in the last few episodes, and even in the ad, maybe for today's episode, to a platform called Heartbeat. And Heartbeat is a community hosting platform that allows us to do a lot of the same functionality as the Facebook group, plus more benefits. That is a closed group, invite only, and it is going to be like a designer hub. And for me to be able to host that for everybody, it cost me $50 a month. To me, very worth it. Looking forward to getting our money's worth out of that over the next coming weeks here. So keep your eyes out for that. So our marketing and miscellaneous grand totals. So that would be Audible, ChatGPT, Cricut, Gusto, Later, Loom, QuickBooks, Spotify, Squarespace, Zapier, and Heartbeat is coming out to $410 a month. $410.50 is the total that it gave me. So $410.50 is an area where probably we could trim some of the fat. Again, if there's tools that we're like not really using to their full extent, or we can like negotiate a lesser rate on, that would probably be a category where we could trim some of it. But a lot of these are tools that help me do my job, right? Like having Later, having Loom, having Squarespace, having all of this to function for us and with us is what makes the business run the way that it does. The very last category I will run through here is podcast category. And this is not including podcast editing, show notes, uploading, all of that. That is through Berta Wired. Thank you, Berta. But the podcast does require some software. So Libsyn, which is Liberated Syndication is what it's called. That is the platform in which they upload the finished episode so that it can be syndicated out to all of the platforms that it's on. So that's how it sends to Spotify, Apple Podcasts, wherever you listen to podcasts. It's also going to help us keep track of the stats for the show. So that's very necessary, obviously, to run this podcast, is that $20 a month on Libsyn. And the very last one, Zencastr, which is how I'm recording this episode, is the podcast recording platform that we use. I really love Zencastr because at the end of the episode, it automatically uploads all the content into my Google Drive so that Berta can go grab it and then edit it right away. And that is such a huge time saver because when I was recording the podcast otherwise, having to download like huge image, huge video, huge audio files, and then find a way to send them off to Berta in a way that she could use them was the bane of my existence. And I would literally procrastinate doing the show just because of that. So having Zencastr to fill that gap has been huge for us because it really allowed me to like have a seamless experience where I show up, record the show, and as soon as it's over, it's out of my hands. And that is huge, huge, huge. For Zencastr, we pay $45 a month. For me, very worth it. Happy to pay it. So our podcast software total is going to be $65. Like, granted, we also use like Canva for the podcast and Squarespace for the podcast. So I didn't include those in each category, obviously, because I'm just trying to give you an actual grand total of what we spend. So if we go kind of from the top, business day-to-day operations, about $300 a month, onboarding about $30. That would be our Dubsado. Design softwares at $139 a month, marketing expenses at $410.50, and then podcasts for $65 a month. Just to get this podcast, just to get you these episodes is what it's costing us. And again, for me, if you want to go down to like cost per episode, like $65 a month split over 4 to 5 episodes a month, like it's pretty reasonable to me, I think. So to kind of give you that big picture, what the heck is our agency spending a month on tools and softwares? That grand total, for all you nosy bitches, is $946.50 a month. So if we round up, almost $1,000. Almost $1,000 a month goes into all the tools that we need to do our job. And that's everything from Squarespace to Google Suite to Dubsado to Adobe to you name it, Gusto, Later, etc. I think, again, it's really good, especially as you are into your tax season, you're itemizing your expenses, to work with your CPA or just with yourself and like look through and be like, oh, okay, like, yeah, I'm using this, or no, I'm not really using this at all. Or like, where can I lessen my expenses to then maximize my profits, right? Because at the end of the day, we're looking at that profit and loss statement. And if $1,000 a month of ours is going towards softwares, if we can trim that back, where could we spend that money otherwise? Like, where could we reappropriate those funds? Or could we just show that we had a more profitable year because we weren't spending through the nose on tools that we weren't using? And I think this is, again, just a reminder for myself as much as it is for all of you that this takes looking at. And I just know, because I'm a nosy person, that you guys are a nosy person to know what we're using, how we like it, how we use it. So let this episode stand as the yearly check-in of tools and softwares and workflows. And definitely check out the show notes for today, because we will link back to other episodes that are relevant to this one. So the episode with Cody about her online business management services would be a really great listen if you're looking to optimize or improve your workflows, improve your tools. Another one would be our design process and how it works. So if you loved that section about Basecamp and how we use Basecamp with our clients, that could be a really great episode as like a part 2 to what we explained here. I know this is like one of those, it's not anything to do with design, but it's everything to do with business. And I love this stuff myself, so I hope you enjoyed the episode also. And if you did, please leave a comment, tell a friend, send it to a friend, save it, share it, post it. We would appreciate it. Don't forget to tag us, and we'll catch you next time. Thanks so much for listening, guys. Bye.